Work. So a lot of games came out this year, and I tried to keep up with them, and I think I did a good job. Not all of them really sort of stuck with me, but one that really did stick with me was Transistor. I think Supergiant Games did a really good job on the piggybacking on Bastion. I love the combat in that game. It's so just like creative. You can stop time and sort of plan out your moves and chain them together, or you can sort of just go in and whack them one at a time. I really like that strategy element to it, and it sort of added to the whole like mystique of the atmosphere. Like, you don't really know a lot about the city, you don't really know about like a lot about these enemies, and that sort of ties back into this story. A lot of people I know didn't really like the story, didn't care about the story, but what I love about it is that it's sort of revealed very slowly and very like sort of discreetly. Like, you really have to dig around and like go into like the little like the mailboxes and like read the letters and like listen to the transistor as he's talking to you and stuff like that. And I love that about it. It was so just poignant and like powerful in how little it did. Like, it said a lot by doing not very much.
You better go.
So Telltale had 4 games come out this year, finish this year, start this year, if you're counting Tales and Game of Thrones.
Mr. Wolf!
But what really got me about The Wolf Among Us is it was very like human in like a mystical sort of way. Like, I really liked the way that you had to struggle as Bigby, either balancing like people's respect for you and whether or not they like listen to you and help you, or whether or not like shit got done, because everyone hated him for a reason and you were trying to do what you thought was right and, you know, get rid of the bad people in Fabletown, but at the same time you had to balance like getting Snow White to like you and getting other people to trust you so you could get your job done, and nothing you did seemed to be the right answer that would make everyone happy. And I really liked that sort of that power struggle. That was really appealing to me. Also, character of the year, Mr. Toad. Like, how can you not like a talking toad wearing freaking like sweatpants and like a Mr. Rogers cardigan who swears at you with an Irish accent? Character of the year. He was a slumlord. Character of the year, Toad. I'm going to bravely default to my next choice to Bravely Default. That was a stupid joke. Bravely Default, a really solid Japanese role-playing game. I love JRPGs, so of course this is on my list. Not really very many good JRPGs came out this year, but I feel like Bravely Default stands out in that it does what a lot of JRPGs aren't doing very well, better than they've been doing for a long time. I think it's doing Final Fantasy better than Final Fantasy. Big talk, I know. That job class system. Job, sub-job, other job, things that you could do from other jobs. Boom, amazing. It's like tailoring your own warrior, and that's what I loved about it. And the story, the characters are really well-rounded. I thought I really felt for them. I thought the scripting was really good, and I know that it sort of falls off in like the latter, maybe half or third of the game where you sort of have to go back and like do a lot of stuff over, but I feel like the overall game doesn't suffer for that because you're working with these, you know, amazing job classes, you're making yourself better, you're getting little bits and pieces of the story that are still coming together through that part, and I just love it. It's my favorite role-playing game that came out this year. So Child of Light, I think, is a special case. It's a very good example of what a small team can do, sort of given the time to get creative and try things that people haven't done before. Child of Light hooked me because they were marketing it as a JRPG-inspired game, like with combat system like Grandia 2, which is a really solid JRPG. I fell in love with that game. I played it. I've played it maybe 4 or 5 times, start to finish, on like normal mode and then like the hardcore mode, and it's just this like really beautiful story about this girl sort of growing into her own. It's 1, gorgeous. I want pink hair. 2, I think the characters are really charming, like something that sort of speaks to me for games, short games. It's a short game, but something that really works for short games like that is the way that they had sort of all these really quirky, really strange characters surrounding Aurora, the main character. And it's also sort of a story about your love for your family and what you're sort of like born to do. I don't know, it's like all of that together really makes it a really like sweet fairy tale, and it's written in rhyme. The writers on that game, total respect for them. They wrote the whole damn thing in rhyme, and I loved it. I thought it was charming. I thought it was super cool. Oh God, that game is just so awesome. I literally zoned out thinking about that game, trying to explain it. Sorry. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. I'm obviously a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I've made no secret about that, so I love that IP to death. But what I loved about Shadow of Mordor is it took Tolkien's world and wasn't beholden to it and its tropes and things, but rather challenged it and sort of flipped the whole thing in his head. Tolkien's always warning us about using the weapon of the enemy against the enemy, and that's what the people in the Lord of the Rings say not to do, but that's exactly what Talion's doing in Shadow of Mordor. And then you sort of have this really beautiful look at like Mordor before Sauron really corrupted it, and on top of all that, you have this Nemesis system, which is to me like the next-gen system. Like that to me says like this is a next-gen game. I love that all of the orcs have like different personalities and different weaknesses, and they talk to you right before you like fight them, and if they kill you, they become more powerful, and then later in the game you're sneaking up on them and you can hear them talking shit about you, and I just think that's like the coolest thing. It feels like a living, breathing world when you combine the way that they've written and designed it with that enemy system that's just constantly evolving and changing based on your actions. I feel like I'm actually making an impact on that world in some way. And also it's just like super freaking fun to like come in and you're super weak, and the game challenges you to get better, and by the time you're, you know, super powerful, by the end of the game, you're like flipping around in like firefights of like 20 orcs, just like popping heads and stabbing them in the neck and just flipping around, and it's like so cool. I feel like I am like a Lord of the Rings hero, like bashing orc skulls in Mordor. It's so good. Ah.